Welcome to the Art of Woo podcast with your host, Lee Erickson. Alrighty, today we are talking about something very exciting, the subject of microdosing, and specifically with psilocybin, and even more specifically with the Stamets Stack protocol. And if you're aware of that, awesome. But if you're not, basically, the Stamets Stack was invented by Paul Stamets, who is a legendary expert in mushrooms. You might recognize him from Fantastic Fungi, which I believe was on Netflix. It's an amazing documentary. If you haven't seen it, highly recommend. And it is all about mushrooms and just how basically mushrooms can save the world if we let them. I think that mushrooms have the capability of literally saving the world. We're already seeing so many things right in front of our eyes, new discoveries from different types of mushrooms. And I know this is, not specifically just psilocybin, but just for example, there's a type of mycelium out there that literally eats plastic. Can you think of anything more that we need in the world right now? So that's just one example. But again, specifically, I am going to be talking about psilocybin and microdosing with that. And again, the Stamets Stack. So let's get into it. Alrighty, so what is microdosing? Microdosing is defined as the practice of administering very small amounts of a substance in order to benefit it in your daily life without undesired side effects. I'm just going to pause here. There's more to the definition, but that is such a tremendous part of this statement is no undesired side effects. Again, I told myself I wasn't going to sit here and just compare mushrooms to prescription drugs, but it's really hard not to when, subjects like this, side effects come up because, when was the last time you maybe saw a commercial or listened to an advertisement of some sort for a prescription drug, and at the end of the commercial it's like this guy talking a million miles an hour about all the long insane lists of side effects. It's like they cause diarrhea, vomiting, suicidal thoughts. It's like insane. It's next level, and they obviously are just like trying to say it super fast so you don't even can barely even understand or listen to what the person's saying. But it's like literally suicidal thoughts, depression, vomiting, diarrhea, whatever it is. That's not good. That's not enough. I don't want to hate on prescriptions, but they do need a change. We need a change. We all know that. If you are on prescriptions, I'm not at all trying to be offensive. If anything, I feel for you. I really do. And I have, there's obviously populations out there who need specific things. My husband is a diabetic. If it wasn't for his prescription for insulin and, Western medicine, he wouldn't be with us. Or at least he wouldn't make it as far. I'm not sure, but, I get it. I get that we need Western medicine, but when it comes to prescription drugs, there's a lot of like margin of error. There's a lot kind of going wrong that there's room for improvement. So let me finish this definition of microdosing. Apologies for getting very sidetracked, but I think that's just my process, like I mentioned already. So continuing definition of microdosing. The dosages are usually subperceptual, meaning Microdosing on a protocol should allow for more functionality, not less. Results can also vary per person, which is also a very, huge thing to consider. Again, I am speaking about my personal experience, and take this with a grain of salt because, again, this is for myself and it's not for everyone. I'm obviously suggesting people try it, but everyone's experience is different. So there's that to consider. However, in contrary, again, to prescription drugs, there are not a lot of undesired side effects. Actually, the statement said, the definition says, without undesired side effects. So theoretically, there are none. I'm going to get into more of my personal experience as we go, but that is the definition of microdosing. A microdosing protocol is known to create an easier day-to-day experience, silencing negative thinking, boosting energy, recultivating connection to the earth and life by uncovering and forming a new relationship with aspects of our psyche that no longer serves us as is. So, just for sourcing sites, credible sites, basically that is from Mycology, Psychology, a wonderful source of information, and also psilocybin itself. I will talk more about this later on, so stay tuned for that towards the end. All right, so what is the Stamets Stack? Like I mentioned previously, Stamets comes from the guy Paul Stamets. He is a mycology legend. Again, you might recognize him from Fantastic Fungi, a lot of other documentaries out there all about mushrooms. Basically, if you Google fungi or psilocybin or mushrooms, Paul Stamets' name will most likely come up. Okay, so the Stamets Stack, obviously named after him, created by Paul Stamets, has been credited with introducing the concept of stacking. And stacking refers to the practice of combining non-psychoactive substances with a microdose of psychoactive substance in an effort to enhance its effects. So, the Stamets Stack consists of psilocybin mushrooms, lion's mane, and niacin. And I'm going to go through the purpose of each and every one of these supplements, if you will, just so you can kind of really get a feel for what each of them's functionalities are in this protocol. So, and I have to mention, so the protocol can consist of 2 different versions. Basically, what you do is you take the supplements all at once a day, preferably in the morning, and that is either for 4 days in a row and 3 days off. So 4 days on, 3 days off. Or there's another version where you can do 3 days on, taking the supplements, and 4 days off. And the reason why they suggest kind of pacing it out like that is so, you're taking them and letting the medicine kind of do its magic. And then when you take your days off, that's kind of the way that it like integrates, even more so into your neuro pathways and more of what's going on psychologically. So I'm going to start with lion's mane. Lion's mane is also another mushroom. It's, in today's world, we are probably well familiar with it and its many amazing functionalities. People take it for many different reasons, and I think there's nothing but good side effects to this. So by definition, lion's mane is a powerful medicinal mushroom known as a nerve tonic for its regenerative qualities. Rich in B-glucan polysaccharides, lion's mane packs potent anti-cancer, immunomodulating, lipodemic, antioxidant, and neuroprotective qualities. The mushroom's also been known to have antimicrobial anti-hypertensive, anti-diabetic, and wound healing properties. And most notably, it's been shown to promote and increase the production of NGF, which is nerve growth factors. Lion's mane can also be used for a wide variety of benefits, which include improving cognitive and memory performance, lowering anxiety and enhancing mood, enhancing focus and mental energy, reducing brain fog, improving sleep quality, supporting healthy inflammatory response, supporting digestive health, balancing blood sugar, supporting immune functions, enhancing overall health in pets. I guess they tested it on animals and it actually enhances the overall health. I'm not suggesting you just start giving your dog lion's mane. I'm not really sure exactly how that works, but I'm sure it's, got its benefits. I just don't know exactly how to, responsibly tell you that information. It's just a general knowledge with the lion's mane here. So, okay. And then moving on to the role of niacin. Niacin, or vitamin B3, is naturally occurring vitamin in the body that is synthesized from the amino acid tryptophan, also found in turkey. Niacin is critical for healthy functions of nearly every body part. Niacin is naturally obtained through a diet of meats like fish, turkey, liver, as well as whole grains, avocados, and nutritional yeast. The key role of niacin is to synthesize coenzymes nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide, NAD, and nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide phosphate. Holy smokes, I am butchering this. I apologize to anyone who's actually a medical professional or a scientist. I'm sorry if you're banging your head on the table. I'm just trying to deliver this information because I think it's profound and it's useful. Okay, so to finish that definition, both of which are critical to 400 important biochemical reactions in your body, predominantly involved in obtaining energy from food. Niacin is also an essential antioxidant that supports the regeneration of skin, muscles, nerves, and DNA. Some reported benefits of niacin include boosting brain function, balancing fat levels in the blood, reducing blood pressure, reducing the impact of type 1 diabetes, and improving skin health. The way I look at niacin is it's kind of almost like a detox as well. It's helps flush out toxins in your body. I feel like that's kind of what I felt mostly in my experience with taking it. The recommended daily dose of niacin is about 14 to 16 milligrams. Health experts warn taking larger quantities, but the Stamets Stack calls for 100 to 200 milligrams, which is considerably higher than the standard recommendation. So, with that said, the flush effect is the only adverse effect they were able to identify in this experiment they conducted about the Stamets Stack. So, whoa, Basil. Sorry, my dog's talking to me. So the flush effect is a harmless, yet a bit uncomfortable sensation of heat. It's kind of like getting a hot flash, more or less. Tingling, itching, skin redness can possibly occur after taking a large dose. It resolves about 20 to 30 minutes. Despite this, medical professionals and Stamets-owned patent documentation recommend that anyone taking over 500 milligrams of niacin must do so under the care of their healthcare professional. Do not recommend that. We actually got, I was actually going to get my supplements so I could show you guys. We got a non-flush type of niacin. It's the Thorn brand, and my dog is harassing me, and I apologize for the background noise. And so it was a non-flush. So we did not have any issues with overheating or any of that. I will say I did have a handful of days where I felt really sweaty. And again, I think that was more or less like a detox happening, like just kind of naturally. I would just be sitting there and I would just be like, what is happening? And it was like mostly in my, I can't even remember what the heck. I'm not thinking straight today. I'm actually microdosing as we speak. So thinking, technically right now, it's interesting. It's interesting because, again, I did take lion's mane as well. So it does help me focus. The mushrooms are, it's an interesting combination. I mean, you're witnessing it live right now, but yeah, the mushrooms, like the mushroom part of it kind of just makes me like, if in a perfect world I would just be able to like go walk out in nature and like pet my dog all day and that'd be great. But the lion's mane again really is like really helps me be productive. I feel like I'm gonna get more into my personal experience with it, but yeah, those were kind of like some bigger takeaways, like per each supplement, because I think they each had their own kind of benefits to them. My personal experience, my outlook on them, it hasn't really changed except for the fact that now I treat it more as like medicine than as just this recreational, let's go for a hike, or which it still totally is, and has that power to it to, all I'm trying to say at the end of the day is it's medicine to help you simply be more present and enjoy your life in a way more simple way than us humans like to make it. We have an amazing, we're really good at making life complicating. Life is complicating. Life is stressful. Life is any and all the above. You name it. It is that. But my mushrooms really, my biggest takeaway was that it brings you to the present moment. And right now, I feel like me personally, and a lot of us all over the world could probably use a little bit more of that in our lives. I don't even have to say it. I mean, we all know that as a culture and a society, we spend so much time in our heads and also behind screens and, maybe feeling alone, all of the above and more. And there's nothing like the present moment. And mushrooms have that amazing ability to just bring that awareness to you and make that a priority above anything else. So, yeah. Okay, so as you can see, this is the brand that I got, Thorn, highly trusted. Side note, my sister-in-law is an acupuncturist, studies Chinese medicine, so she takes her supplements very seriously and has great sources, and I trust her a lot with the types of supplements that she suggests for us. So yeah, Thorn, this was the niacin. And then lion's mane, this was Host Defense is the brand. I mean, that was what we took. This was great. Lion's mane, it's really common. You can get it in most every like health food store at this point. We were pretty happy with that brand. And then I'm going to talk about this more towards the end, so stay tuned. But the psilocybin right here, you can see this adorable little label, is Mycology Psychology. So amazing company, highly suggest. So basically what I took was 1 pill a day, and This is 100 milligrams. So for me, you know, I think that was perfect. Depending on how large you are, what your size is, like you might want more, but I think it's good to just start out with one and go from there. So yeah, 100 milligrams per supplement. The niacin, we actually did, one capsule is 500 milligrams. So that's a lot. But again, like it wasn't more than we couldn't handle, and we felt okay with that. So lion's mane, this one, how many milligrams is this? Doesn't want to tell me. This is telling me the calories, which is ridiculous, but let me see. It looks like it's also about 100 milligrams, about the same size, right? So yeah, 100 milligrams for each, or yeah, 100 milligrams and then 500 with the niacin. It worked out well. I'm really happy with the results, and I'm going to keep on doing it as long as I can. Also taking a break. And again, I'm going to explain more about going into, you know, the protocol and then how they suggest taking breaks. So the standard actual dosage on like the Stamets Stack protocol is essentially for psilocybin 100 milligrams to 200 milligrams, lion's mane 50 to 100 milligrams, and then niacin 100 to 200 milligrams. Again, we took a lot larger amount of niacin, but I felt fine, and I'm happy with like the results and feel totally healthy. So the Stamets Stack protocol involves 4 active dosing days followed by 3 integration non-dosing days. Continue that for 4 weeks, 30 days. Then you take a reset period of 2 weeks by not dosing. Many microdosers tend to repeat the protocol rounds or just indefinitely. I, having just finished my first like 30-day round, am definitely going to continue this if I can. I need to look into like ordering more, but I have taken 2 weeks off, or I will be after this, and then I will start back up again. So yeah, I mean, my overall, you know, result, I'm happy with it. And I want to continue the protocol. Oh yeah, okay. Major factor to all of this was we did like dry January in standard terms. My husband was joking. He's like, we're Cali sober, California sober, because we're not drinking, we're just doing psychedelics. But yeah, so we did not drink for 30 days while doing this. And again, we did the 4 days on, 3 days off for 30 days. And I am just going to run through kind of the things. I had to like write down the list of all of the pros versus cons, you know, just like a big list that I made. I actually literally have, shout out to Libby McCarthy if she's watching or listening to this, she literally got me a pros and cons notepad like 20 something years ago, forever ago, because I used to just be horrible at making decisions. You know, in my 20s, I was also like hammered half the time. Come a long way since then. Now I'm just microdosing all the time. It's cool. But I just, sorry, that was a bit extreme. I wasn't hammered all the time, but I was in my 20s. I was living in a house full of other girls my age, and like most of us were single, and it was awesome. we partied a lot, to say the least. And back at that time, though, you know, I I was definitely like way more insecure in so many ways. I think a lot of us, it's just something we kind of go through, but I was also very indecisive. I'm not going to sit here and say that like I can make a decision like with so much confidence that, I'm that different, but I've definitely come a long way to the extent of it doesn't, little kind of silly decisions, even down to like, oh, should I go out tonight or not? Like that was like the biggest problems I had back in the day. Oh my God, I would actually kill to be back there for like maybe a day. And then I'd get hungover and be like, no, I want my 36-year-old life back where I'm in bed literally by 9 p.m. every night. Okay, major tangent, apologize, but I just got really excited about my little pros and cons notepad. So I'm just going to read through my list here because, again, there were so many pros, I almost ran out of room. Okay, biggest one was focus. So I started this whole protocol in January, and I launched this entire podcast, learned a whole new podcast editing software. And yeah, I know for any other podcasters out there, Audacity is like the free one that everybody uses, and it's super easy to use. I started out with that one, and then I realized I have Adobe Creative Cloud. What am I doing? I should obviously probably use Adobe Audition because it's like the pro version, and go pro or go home. I don't know. So I have managed to I'm not a master, I'm not a pro, but I've managed to teach myself how to record and edit a podcast. Basically, I took a whole Skillshare class on this thing. It was great. So yeah, more or less learned a whole new skill in the month of January. And yeah, also obviously gathered enough courage and confidence to start a freaking podcast, which I should probably do a whole other episode even just more about this. I know I kind of tiptoed around it in my intro episode, but yeah, I don't know. I kind of just was like, it's time. We're doing this. And I think the protocol of doing this whole microdosing thing really just laser focused me, and I was able to just get shit done. Nothing got in my way. And on top of that, on top of the subject of focus, I also took a major detox with social media. I just felt like it was bringing nothing but kind of negative energy into my life overall. And I'm just, this is a really kind of hard thing to talk about, but obviously, where the world is in a really kind of heavy place. When isn't it? But it was really especially heavy this past fall, when obviously in October, when this war broke out in Gaza and Israel, and shit was really heavy. And God, this is again, maybe a whole other episode, but it's tough because I don't want to sit here and sound so privileged that I was able to just turn that off. But I absorbed a lot of that energy to the point where it was really actually starting to affect my mental health. And I think you can still hold what's the word I'm looking for? Empathy and just sorrow and all of those heavy, deep emotions for a situation that is going on in the world without having to constantly be witnessing it. You know what I mean? And vocalizing it and just adding to the chatter. And again, I'm not saying that people speaking up about this is wrong by any means. I'm just saying for me personally, it was getting to the point where it was starting to really take a toll on my mental health. And I definitely took time to, feel that energy of how heavy things are going on in the world. And I'm not, again, trying to just ignore it. It's just being cautious about what I'm taking in is all I'm trying to say. So with that, I was also kind of determined to kind of mute a lot of the kind of social media banter in my life, because I was getting to the point where, I was just becoming like mentally just not stoked, feeling really kind of depressed about everything in the world, on top of like already so many heavy situations that already are happening. It's like that is just like another layer on the cake. But yeah, so I was able to kind of shift my focus away from social media and back to the microdosing. I will also say what was so interesting was like, you know how social media can be like addicting to so many of us? Like, you know how you pick up your phone and then you all of a sudden you're like 5 minutes into scrolling somewhere, whether it's Instagram or whatever else, and you're like, how did I even get here? Like, I don't even remember opening the Instagram icon or whatever it is. Like, how did I get here? And then where did the last like 30 minutes of my life go? I don't fucking know. That specific habit I was definitely a part of, I definitely had, was no longer there. Like, it was so crazy because while microdosing, like, basically the desire was not there. I would pick up my phone and my habitual like neurons. I'm not a brain scientist, so again, don't quote me on this, but I know there's just like all of those brain cells back there working that are just like functioning on habit, right? And I would like do that like kind of physical habit thing of having my phone in my hand and then like looking at it, and then I think I would like go to tap the Instagram thing or whatever it was, and then I'd just be like staring at whatever it was I was looking at, and I'd just be like, this doesn't even matter. I don't want anything to do with this. This is like so minute compared to like what is in front of me, like, and what I could really be doing with my life right now. Like, I know that sounds so stereotypical and like kind of silly, but it is so true. Like, that was a profound experience that I had over and over and over again, to the point where I just kind of like gave up on even picking up my phone and kind of broke that habit, which is amazing, I think. So yeah, with that extra time that I created in my life, I actually, on top of starting a podcast, learning a whole new editing software, also randomly started freaking doing these YouTube channels and, learning all these new things. But I also made a shit ton of art, which is awesome. And it's something that I'm always trying to do, where I'm just like, it's like this mental note in the back of my mind, like, okay, make art, go make more art, make more art. Like, it's, when you're identify as an artist, when you're a professional artist, whatever, any type of artist, I think we can all share this like general kind of energetic in the back. It's like this subconscious energetic in the back of our minds, where we're just like, I should be making art all the time. I should be making art. Oh, I'm not being, even sitting on the couch feels like, this is, again, my personal experience, but I think some artists might relate, where it's like you're sitting on the couch doing nothing or watching TV or whatever it is, and you're like, I should totally be just making art instead. What am I doing? So I actually made art. Like, I actually just like, no overthinking. One of my biggest blocks as an artist, other than just like time in general, which is a great excuse for everything, but one of my biggest blocks is just like, okay, I have the pen or pencil or whatever it is in my hand, but what am I gonna make? Should I focus on this or should I focus on this? Wait, but there's that project that I have that I should start brainstorming for. Like, I just get so, overwhelmed and in my head about all the things that I should be doing, but I want to be doing. And then I feel conflicted and torn of like what I'm going to paint or whatever it is. It sucks. And then, next thing you know, I'm picking up my phone, I'm looking at freaking Instagram again, and an hour goes by. And so again, while microdosing, I would just pick up the pen or the pencil and like, I don't know, I would just start drawing. Like I wouldn't even think about all of these other overwhelming thoughts that would just take over and end up, blocking me or stunting me. I just went for it, and it was great. Like I created more, I think, in the month of January than I maybe did in the entire year last year. That's insane. And I haven't necessarily published everything. I've shared a handful of things I've been working on, but like I don't know. It's kind of crazy. Okay, so I'm like literally one bullet. That was, if you can see this, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see my long list. That was one bullet. Focus. How much time you guys got? I'm going to be here for a while. Okay, next one. Overall, super at peace with everything. This was a biggie, okay? Any other moms out there with toddlers? Y'all listen up. I had more patience as a mom, even as a tired mom, with my toddler than I've ever had before. Anyone who doesn't have a kid, they're their own species, I'd like to think sometimes, but they're extra special. They are in this moment, there's period of time in their lives where they are testing boundaries of all shapes and sizes and forms and everything. Like they are literally going to the limit with everything. And they test you. They test your patience every goddamn day. And it takes a lot. Like, I don't know. If you see a lot of photos, videos, whatever it is, of parents just like kind of cracking jokes at this, there's a reason. Like toddlers are insane. Just kidding. I love my daughter. Don't get me wrong. She is a total angel one day, and then the next day a total terror. Just kidding. She's the best. So, but we all have our moments, and I was like able to, while microdosing, like it was like I was able to like get on her level. Like, I don't know another way to say it. Like almost to the point where I would physically like kneel down more. Like I was actually like, I almost feel like I wanted to be like at her eye level more. And that sounds really strange, but it was like, my cognition was like, okay, you know what? We're gonna like figure out a resolution or like solution, to this in like a balanced manner where it's not just me yelling at you over and over and over to do something or whatever it is, and you rebelling back because you don't want to be told what to do. Like it was more of this like cohesive experience where I was able to like pause and really see where she was coming from and like understand why she wanted to like throw the shovel off the deck or whatever the fuck it was. Like it made sense to me more as to like why she did what she wanted to do, and I was able to just like have such a better understanding and appreciation for her and where she was coming from. And it just resulted in like so much yet less like yelling. And I'm not a perfect parent. I really want to be. Actually, I don't want to be perfect, but I want to be the best parent I can possibly be. But there's definitely days where I yell. Like I will admit, like it's hard not to sometimes, especially when you're just trying to get your point across and you cannot to the point where you just feel like you gotta freaking yell. And I know that even when you're communicating to another adult, that doesn't work either, but you still freaking yell. And it's like a lifelong pursuit of mine to not be a yeller. And I will say, within not just my relationship with my toddler, but also my partner, we had, like, I don't think we got into a single argument for an entire month. I know that sounds insane, but we like literally didn't argue for like an entire month. It was amazing. And instead, that time was literally made up with like more laughing. It was like more just literally enjoying each other's company and like appreciating the person for like their weird quirks or individualities, or even typical silly little things that can trigger you. And I'll get more into this too, but like how the littlest thing could piss you off sometimes, where you walk into the kitchen and there's just a pile of dishes and you didn't make the dishes, but they're there and you feel like you got to clean them up because they're right in your face, and then you're just like grumpy about it, and then you like don't say anything because it's kind of stupid to complain about the dishes, but then you hold on to that energy, and then it like finds its way like an hour or two later, and then you end up exploding at your partner or whoever, your roommate or whatever it is, because you held on to those dishes in your body, in your brain, whatever it is. So in this scenario, the same scenario, while microdosing, it was like, there's the dishes. I could choose to do these, or I could just choose not to. And it really doesn't fucking matter. Like, the world's not going to end, and they're going to get done at some point, whether it's me or him or whoever. Definitely not the toddler, that's for sure. Me or him. They're going to get done, and it doesn't really matter. It's literally not a big deal. And that also we should segue into the word trigger. So basically, like, I did not feel triggered at all. And if you're someone who wants to start like really kind of getting familiar with becoming, I don't want to say a better person, but you're someone who, self-improvement, right? Let's just basic self-improvement as a human. We all have improving to do, whether we want to or not. And, whatever. If you want to, great. If not, whatever. But a big pathway, or a big indicator for self-improvement, a big clue, I should say, is triggers. If you want to know how to kind of resolve a lot of things in your life, start paying attention to your triggers. That is something that I have learned, again, through like a lot of the manifestation work that I've done through To Be Magnetic. And it's been profound, like the shit that you're triggered by. It's, even though, again, it's, things could seem so simple. It could be the dishes, or it could be like a scenario. It could be anything that just like pisses you off to the core. And sometimes you're like, kind of like, whoa, that was kind of like, why am I even that fired up about this? But I am. Even something like maybe not getting invited out to dinner, I like getting kind of like left behind. I don't know, something like that. Being really triggered is like a huge clue as to where you can begin more of a path to self-improvement. And just kind of start deep diving more into like, where did that come from? Where in my inner child did this first happen, where it, created this kind of traumatic, more or less, event that I've carried with me all the way into my adult life, that now like is this kind of sensitive spot worth looking into. So once again, that could be a whole other episode, but I'm just trying to get through these bullet points because there's a lot. So yeah, in summary, I did not feel triggered by like anything that I typically probably would have. I was able to just kind of like almost have this witness. It's an interesting word, but like, yeah, this kind of like outside perspective of a scenario versus like first person shooter, like this is happening to me and I need to react. It was more of like I was like this fly on the wall observing the scenario and then like kind of pulling back and reassessing from there, which I think is huge. And a lot of us could probably use more of in our lives. So let's see what's next on the list. Presence. I think I kind of covered that. Yeah, like again, with kind of being able to communicate with my toddler more, I really just was able to be present and just like genuinely enjoy her company and whoever I was with. And like, and I'm not saying I don't generally enjoy my daughter's company, but I will admit that like I have a very busy mind and I'm definitely always thinking about like the to-dos and like what I have to do next and like what I should have done yesterday, or so many silly little things that are like going to be irrelevant in like 20 years, who knows. And the most important thing really is like spending time with your kids, right? And so yeah, I just genuinely like, I just remember having moments of just kind of like staring at her, just like admiring her like facial features and just being like, wow, like she has grown so quickly. And like also just like this little human is so amazing and like her mind is so hilarious and awesome and like curious and open, and just like every single thing is just such an adventure and like worth exploring. And man, I miss living life like that. So it was like, again, really wanting to be like present with her and then like just at her level. And I know I already mentioned this, but I really like, I spent a lot of time on the floor, like just like in our living room on the floor versus like up on the couch. Like I want to say, and this is going to sound out there, but I like literally feel like having multiple mushrooms, you know, both lion's mane and psilocybin in my system, it was like I really just wanted to be like connected to the earth more by being grounded, by literally physically sitting on the ground. And so I did that a lot. I was on the ground a lot and I had my feet on the ground a lot, and I, you know, spent a lot more time in nature, which perfectly goes to my next bullet point here. I wrote crave nature. And I really did. And it's interesting because like as much as I just kind of bragged about how much I was able to like get done in that month, and I like did spend a lot of time like in front of the computer editing shit, like just producing and editing and producing and editing and creating art, which I'm so stoked on, and I'm proud of myself. But as much as I did that, I also just like wanted to make sure that I was spending a lot of time in nature. January was an interesting month here in Colorado. We definitely had like some really cold weather, which like I think there was like a day or two, maybe even 3 days where it was so cold that I don't think I went outside. It's kind of nuts to say, but it just was way too freaking cold. Even our dogs, we try to take them on walks and they were like 10 minutes into it and they're like, yeah, fuck this, let's turn around. So there were, and I remember being on an on day at that point and being like, damn it, I really wanted to just like be outside. But other than that, I take the dogs for a walk every single day, and that is my time in nature. And you know, I really want to do this again in the summertime because I know that I'll spend even more time outside in nature and like exploring way more than just like my neighborhood. Um, you know, going on hikes and like really getting into the mountains, like, oh my God, I like have to do that this summer. And you know, like I said, like I definitely did that recreationally before doing this microdose, like years before. But yeah, really just like craved nature. I think it's like you have these like insanely powerful substances of the earth inside you that make you crave the earth. It's kind of this like beautiful thing if you really think about it. Um, so yeah, right after that, I also craved fruit and veggies, like so much more than say like dairy products or like bread. I think I ate a lot of bread regardless because I don't know, I'm not gonna lie, I ate a lot of freaking bread. I love me some good sourdough, and I'm just gonna keep doing that forever, whether or not it's trendy. I don't know. I guess sourdough is super trendy. Everybody was baking it in freaking 2020, weren't they? Uh, anyways, I digress. um, yeah, I definitely craved like fresh fruit and veggies like all the time and like less meat for sure. I was just kind of like, I don't think this is like gonna do me that well. Like I just want like, again, I want to be in the earth and I want the earth inside me. Like sounds weird, but it was just, I don't know, that's how it was. Um, okay, next bullet. Overall mood. I mean, I pretty much covered this already, but my overall mood, I feel like I was just generally optimistic. Like I just, you know, sometimes you know how you can just kind of get into like a funk. You can have those days. And again, like my lady friends, like, you know, obviously with your menstrual cycle and everything, like that determines so much. Your hormones determine so much of your mood. Um, but yeah, I felt like I was very even keel. Um, just like, and not saying like I wasn't experiencing emotions, but it was like things that, and this is back to the kind of triggering things that would typically like, um, you know, piss me off or irritate me or just kind of like send me into a different mood. Again, I was able to just like, I don't know, have this more like balanced way of reacting. And I will say, like, I literally felt more optimistic. Like I really just, I don't know. I just overall, it was, and it's not even like it was like this powerful, like, yeah, like stoked on life all the time, every day. Cause I definitely like had some other, you know, down days, but it just was like kind of this like subtle feeling, probably like, yeah, more like subconscious, more or less, like feeling of just like things are gonna be okay. Things are okay. I'm gonna be okay. Nothing matters but the present. Feet on the ground, just like one day at a time, 1 minute at a time kind of attitude, if that makes sense. Um, but yeah, just definitely just an overall positive mood. I feel like I laughed a lot more. Like I feel like I was like just like laughing. Probably just because, I mean, you know, if you take mushrooms to party, for me, I laugh. That's all I do. I just freaking giggle at everything, which, what's the harm in that, you know? Put people behind bars for laughing. I don't know. I shouldn't get into that. But anyways, next bullet point. What do I got? No bullshit, no distractions. I already went super into that. Yeah, social media just felt useless slash blah. That's what I wrote. Unless I knew there was a sense of accomplishment. So like, yeah, I really kind of, again, I limited my social media to unless I was like being proactive about like posting something or whatever the fuck. Yeah. That's what it kind of was for me in that during that time. Next bullet point, organize / prioritize my brain. So yeah, I really, I kind of touched on this earlier, but I really was able to like, just like cut out the bullshit and just like, I literally for the first time in my life, I made this whole Google Sheets like monthly planner, where I literally have set like weekly like deadlines and goals for myself. I've even broken down every single day. I definitely have not like stuck to that religiously, like as far as every day I'm, hour by hour, like doing this specific thing. I could never live my life like that, but it was kind of this great exercise for me to just like put down onto paper, like things that I could like generally predict what my week was looking like, and then just kind of really break down how I could potentially utilize that time. And like, my daughter is in preschool. She only goes like 3 days a week for like 4 hours a day. It's like very minimal, but it's huge. It's how I am able to do any of this. And I worked, my whole schedule basically was like revolved around that. So basically it was like all the times that she's at school, that's like when I'm actually like getting shit done. Anything else, just like a free for all. I'm sitting on the floor just laughing with her. So playing with Play-Doh. Okay, energy. Yeah, I felt like I had a lot of great energy. There were times where I actually, okay, this is an interesting one because I've kind of come to the conclusion that on a physical sense, like with my body, I felt like, if anything, it wasn't like an energy booster. Like, I don't think I was like ready to like hit the pavement running like every day, getting out of bed. I think it was more actually like it made me get in touch with what exactly my body was feeling. Like, if my body was actually just tired and probably was like, you could actually use a couple more hours of sleep, or you could really use like a walk, or you could really use some stretching or yoga or whatever it is, or you could, eat some more food or less. Like that, I think, was really the connection, the body connection for me. Because I will say there were a couple of days where I would take the mushrooms. And I should like talk about a typical day. Yeah. So I basically I would try to take them the same time every day. But to be honest, I actually like forgot to take them quite often. So sometimes I wouldn't take them until like 1 PM or something. But anyways, so I felt like they, again, just like put me so in touch with my physical body. So there was like a couple of days where I would take them and I actually felt like so tired. And I was like, oh my God, all I can do is just like lie on the couch, or actually like, I think I need like a freaking nap, which I am not a napper at all. I never have been. But there was like a day or two where I literally was just like sidelined and I couldn't do anything but just close my eyes and just like rest. And, I'm a mom of a toddler. This toddler of mine still loves to come into our bed every single night and sleep with us. And we have a king size bed, right? There's a lot of room. Technically, we could all easily sleep there comfortably, all 3 of us, and it'd be fine. But no, my toddler, wants to sleep like if she could sleep inside of my body, she would. She literally gets so up in my shit. Like, her head is like in my armpit, like in it. And she just prefers to sleep like, she's the most hardcore cuddler that I've ever met in my life, and it's adorable and I love her for it. But like when you're trying to sleep all night, it's just the worst. So I definitely still have nights where I don't get great night's sleep. Sometimes, you know, every once in a while she'll sleep a whole night in her bed and it's amazing. But most nights that's not the case. Most nights she comes and sleeps in with us. So I don't get the best sleep every night. And I think it was like, yeah, there was like a day or two where my body was like, you need to just rest. Like you're trying to just do all these things as always, and you just need to chill and lay down and close your eyes. So yeah, I got sidelined. But like my conclusion to that is I really feel like it's like a putting a speaker up to your body. Like it's like literally voicing what your body needs for you. I don't know how else to say it. I know that sounds super strange, but that was my experience. Detox. Oh, okay. So, all right. If you've made this far, you're awesome. Thank you for listening and being here. But basically, for any guys listening to this, I apologize. I don't think I have a lot of male listeners other than my husband. So anyways, this might be TMI and I apologize. Maybe just mute this part if you don't want to, but my menstrual cycle was like, I don't know, if you could like have like a perfect score for a cycle, like the month of January, I had that. Like I had no cramps pre or post. Usually I get like pre and sometimes post. It's kind of like different for me every month. But anyways, I got no cramps. I think my irritability, which is like always the biggest indicator, like it's funny because you like forget every time you start like acting like kind of a bitch, to be honest. Like, I don't know, like this past month, for example, like I wasn't on the protocol anymore and I noticed a huge difference and I was so irritated by like literally everything for like a week straight, and then I got my period and I was like, oh right, this happens every month and I forget every month. But yeah, so again, back to January, my cycle, it was just like so seamless. It like came in so gently and then it left so gently. It was like 3 days exactly. It was just like in and out. And again, TMI, I apologize, but it was like cherry red. It was like beautiful red. Like I could have painted with it. It was like the most perfect color. But again, like I spent the whole month not drinking, and taking these supplements. And again, I think the niacin, you know, is a huge kind of like detox supplement. And I just felt like I like detoxed all the toxins out of my body, like up until that point. And I just had the most gentle, beautiful, easy cycle that month. And it was amazing. I was like, this is crazy. Like I have never really had, I mean, I've always had like pretty like mild, like I've never been like, oh my God, I'm like, I can't like do anything today. I mean, sometimes I should rest more, but anyways, I don't know. That was a very notable thing that I thought was worth mentioning for all the ladies out there. Okay, so I think that's my whole list. There's probably more if I like even, you know, if I could really sit around and think about it more. Oh, the biggest one, huge, is, so I mentioned this a little bit when I was talking about the lion's mane, but the biggest amazing part about this whole protocol is that you're literally like, again, I am not a scientist. I'm not a professional in this. I am very interested in it. So I've done like a fair amount of research. The amazing part about this is that it helps reset your neural pathways. So that basically, in like more simplified terms, is like lion's mane helps rebuild neural pathways to begin with. And with the combination of very intentional ecological work and a lot of the tools that we have access to these days, again, I'm just going to mention To Be Magnetic because that is something that I've been familiar with and just like working with and on for the past couple of years. It's really just like manifestation work, but the whole basis, the foundation of how it works is resetting neural pathways and clearing out the negative ones that really kind of set the patterns, the negative patterns in your life that kind of tell you the negative stories, the narrative that you may or may not have. It helps just clear that out and reset new neural pathways, which is good no matter what. If you're getting new neural pathways and you're living in this, current life, like it's nothing but good things, basically. I could probably like spend a lot more time talking about that, but this is already getting fairly long. But it's really powerful stuff at the end of the day. So that's just a big one, and again, worth maybe looking into and doing your own research. So I do have a little tiny cons section. I figured it's probably best to mention some of the side effects that I experienced, and I pretty much already covered them in my pros list, but I already talked about this. I felt sweaty. I definitely had to like make sure I wore deodorant. Fortunately, I don't really like work in an office or anything like that or around other people, so it wasn't really something I had to worry about. But again, like it was just, where I typically like would sweat, and again, like it just means that things are working. Like I was sweatier than I typically would be, but it just meant things were doing their job. Like, and I was detoxifying, which I love. I could always use less toxic shit in my life, right? Can't we all? Okay, felt tired or lack of motivation. So yeah, the felt tired, I already totally described, went over that part, which again, I really just felt like that was the mushrooms just like alarming me what my body really needed at that moment. I also wrote, sometimes felt a little weird on an empty stomach. So I will say it's funny because I think I read somewhere that the protocol suggests that you actually like take it on an empty stomach. For me, I could not. I did that once. I took the supplements, and I think I had like a piece of toast for breakfast at like 8 a.m. or something. And then I took the dogs for like a pretty long walk. And by the end of that, I came back and I was like, whoa, okay, I really need to like either lay down or eat something. And I usually was able to just kind of like bounce back after eating like more of a full meal, and like felt fine after that. There definitely were, yeah, I will say like I definitely felt a little like woozy at points, and it wasn't like debilitating woozy. It was just kind of like, oh, okay, things are here doing their job, and like I'm just gonna maybe take it slow and be mindful of what I'm doing. Like maybe right now isn't the best time to do like computer editing shit, or like typing or whatever it is. Like maybe it's just a good time to either just like read a book or draw a little bit. And I'm just going to stop myself here because I realize as I'm saying that, like, I probably sound pretty privileged because I realize that not everybody has just like the luxury to just like do whatever they want whenever they want. Which, you know what? I really hope that we move into the direction, and I think we are, where that is the new reality. I really, sorry, I'm segueing into a whole other discussion, but I really hope someday all of us can just do exactly what we want to do every single day. I mean, what the hell is life if you're not? Oh my God, we are not this like slave race. Anyways, sorry. But if you are a person who has like a 9 to 5 or, you know, has heavy duty responsibilities, I get that. This protocol is definitely not, you know, I would not start it on like a Monday morning right before going to work. Again, depending on what kind of work you do. You know, you technically are able to like drive and operate a car and like do daily life things while microdosing. It is technically totally fine. But I do think if you are starting this protocol brand new, especially if you're someone who've never taken psilocybin or mushrooms of any type, ease into it. Like, do it on a weekend. Start even maybe, I actually was telling my cousin, she's got like a total 9 to 5 financial freaking tech job or something. And she's like wants to do it, but she's like, I'm like worried about my work schedule. And I was like, you know what? Like, she works from home a couple days a week. And I was like, why don't you do it on like a Thursday night or Thursday evening and see how you feel, or a Friday evening, see how you feel, and then continue on through the weekend, and just like don't schedule anything too intense for yourself and just see how it goes and go from there. Just ease into it, you know? And again, this is not a one size fits all thing. It's different for everybody, but I do think that a lot of what I just listed off as far as like my experience and my pros, like I do feel that a lot of other people have similar experiences. And if you're going to do research on this, you're going to find that more times, like 9 times out of 10, if not 10 out of 10 times, people are having positive experiences and effects. And I apologize, my toddler is screaming in the background, but I'm going to try to wrap up. Uh-oh. All right. I think it's about time for me to go. But regardless, there is so many profound things happening in the world with mushrooms, and I'm very excited to be living in this lifetime right now and seeing what mushrooms can really do for us. All right, I gotta wrap up. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I really hope you got something from it. Take care.